free nonprofit with a mission of bringing community education at the ground level. She also specializes in social media awareness and internet safety, hospitality training, medical professional training, senior exploitation, and educating families with young children how to teach their children who they can trust and setting boundaries at an early age. Her presentation to the club will focus on social media's role in trafficking our youth. Please welcome Dawn Heath-Fiedler.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me today. So my social media workshop that I do is usually an hour. I'm going to do this in 20 minutes. So we're gonna push. Oh, we do?
Yes, you can go about 30.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Because yeah, I'm doing another presentation on it tonight at a church, and it's a big event. So you're my practice run. No, I'm kidding. I do this all the time. So I am Dawn Heath-Fiedler. I'm with Rotary. I'm with the Elkhorn Club. I'm also an AG for our district, 6270. And so I've been in Rotary for many years. Seems like a lot longer some days. You know how it is when they ask you something, it's really hard to say no when it's a Rotary thing. So that's how I get roped into being an AG all the time. So I love Rotary. And when I was preparing to be president of my club, they sent me to the district conference, and it was in Milwaukee. And you know what conferences are like. They're a lot of fun when you're in Rotary. And Saturday morning, there were a bunch of workshops, and they were all full, and they were on all sorts of different things. And I thought, well, I could stand in the back. I could go to the one workshop they had on human trafficking, or I could go back to my room and take a nap. So I went to the human trafficking workshop, and I sat there for 2 hours with my mouth open. I was stunned. I learned at that workshop that Wisconsin was #3 in the nation for human trafficking. Now, I'm from England. I know that there's human trafficking. I have family all over the world, and I know that this is happening. I have a cousin who's married to a Thai lady. I know it's happening in Asia. I know it's happening in Africa and Eastern Europe and all of Europe. I had no idea how it affected us here in Wisconsin. Now, this was 6 years ago. So Wisconsin is no longer #3 in the nation, but we are within the top 10. And a lot of the reason is that there's a lot of awareness being made now. So people are aware of what it is, and they're reporting it. And so that's making it, you know, the reportings are coming in, and Polaris Project, they record all of that, and they're the ones that put the numbers together. So what is human trafficking? Anybody know? Human trafficking is the umbrella. We're hearing that word a lot. That's the catchphrase, right? It's sex exploitation, it's slave labor, it's debt bondage, it's child bride, child soldier, and organ harvesting. They all fall under that umbrella of human trafficking. Now, it's more than that. There's, you know, lots of loopholes and other areas, but what it really is the exploitation of another person for financial gain. Human trafficking is a $151 billion industry around the world. In fact, an average victim nets a trafficker on average $150,000 a year. But that's just an average. You know, in some countries it's much less, in some areas it's much more. I know victims who are trafficked, and they brought in millions of dollars per year for their trafficker. So a couple of years ago, there was an article in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel stating that Milwaukee was the sex mecca of the United States. Now, that's a big statement to make, right? Why do you think that might be? Yes.
I think, isn't that route from Ohio or something up to Minnesota? People stop in Milwaukee.
Well, and that's, you know, Wisconsin is a very popular place because of our corridor, our roads coming. Green Bay is a hub, so they come through Milwaukee. That area between Milwaukee and Racine and Chicago, that's one of the highest traffic areas, corridors in the United States. But you have the Mall of America, and they're coming through Molesden, through Toma, through Madison into Chicago. So any area where a trafficker can get out of the state within 2 hours is highly regarded in their eyes. Plus, we have a lot of sports here. We have the Packers, we have the Bucks, the Brewers. Just this last September, we had the Ryder Cup. The Ryder Cup is known as the Super Bowl for human trafficking. Yeah, so I was on a task force for 2 years because the Ryder Cup was supposed to be here the year COVID hit, and it was postponed a year. And we met for 2 years planning how to bring that education into the hotels and into the whole eastern side of Wisconsin, because when it was announced that Wisconsin Kohler was going to be the Ryder Cup, they sold 150 reservations like that. 150,000, sorry, not 150, 150,000 reservations for the Ryder Cup. It's a huge problem. The problem, of course, is the demand. If we can stop the demand, we could, put a dent in the human trafficking. But the awareness needs to be made. We need to educate our local communities. So when I went to that training or that workshop for Rotary, I worked for a church at the time. I worked for an ELCA church as their outreach coordinator. And I went back to the pastor of our church and I said, people in our congregation are asking me what they can look for. And I went back to my Rotary Club and I said, look, people want to know. And the president at that time said, well, I've been trying to bring human trafficking education into our county for 2 years and nobody's interested. Good luck. So I thought that it was a nice challenge. I'm one of those people that gets in the car and the GPS says it's going to take 1 hour and 5 minutes to get here. That's a challenge. I will beat the GPS. So I'm all about the challenges. So I thought, okay, fair enough. You pay for it. You pay for the event. I'm going to put a big awareness event on. It took 9 months and we had it on January 11th. Now you're wondering, why is January 11th a big deal? Because that is recognized as the National Anti-Human Trafficking Awareness Day. And so we had it on that day and we brought in a guest speaker, Teresa Flores, who was trafficked. I'm going to tell you just a short bit about Teresa's story. She was trafficked from the age of 15 to 17. She was trafficked out of her high school. She lived in her home and she was pulled out at night. She was blackmailed, threatened. Her brothers were followed home from school. They found dead animals in the mailbox in their yard. She was beaten and she was blackmailed into being trafficked for 2 years. What is so compelling about Teresa's story for me, she's a year younger than me and I'm 58. Actually, I'll be 58 on Sunday. So I'm old as dirt in my eyes. And this is that sophisticated. When she was 15, 17, I was 16, 18, right? And this was how sophisticated it was back then. Now come to today. What do you think the biggest problem we have with human trafficking with our youth right now? Any ideas? It's access to social media, to anything on the internet. Access is our biggest issue we have with our youth. And if it's that sophisticated, sorry, I move. If it's that sophisticated in 1980, where they could traffic her out of her home and nobody knew about it, imagine how easy it is for them to do it today when everybody is on their smartphone, right? So technology changes every day. Even legislation cannot keep up with technology. So if you have a problem with your smartphone, who do you go to for help? The nearest 13-year-old, right? Because they know everything. They have the time to learn all about these phones where we don't. And they're the ones that we go to for help. Well, social media has made it so much easier for the predators to gain access to our youth. I do a lot of EMS department training and hospitals. We train a lot of doctors. I go in and do the trainings. It was last April. It was the day after Easter. Now I'm English, so that's called Easter Monday, and it's a day off in England. So it was Easter Monday, and I was at this small township fire department, and I did the training for all of their EMS personnel. So I had 30 of them, and that was on a Monday evening. Friday morning, I got a phone call from a mom who said, hey, my best friend was at that training you had Monday night, and she told me I needed to call you. I said, okay, what can I do to help? What's going on? And she said, my 12-year-old is being groomed, I think. I'm not sure what it is, but for the last year, she's been sending new pictures to this guy who lives in England. And she's now threatening suicide. So I had to take her out of school and I don't know what to do. I said, well, the first thing you need to do is call your local police department. She says, oh, no, I can't do that because she might get into trouble. I said, she's 12 years old. She is a victim. You are victims. She's not going to get into trouble. You need to call the police so that we can get her an advocate and get her into the counseling programs immediately. And so she did. And they had a fundraiser for this young girl. She's now 13. And since last April, she has tried to commit suicide 6 times. She is so confused. She doesn't understand how this man who claimed to love her could be doing something to hurt her. She's even tried to call him, and he's given her a hard time. Why did you turn me in? I loved you. Why would you do that? Their brains just are not developed enough to understand the danger that they're putting themselves in. And here's the reality. You're not even allowed to sign up for social media till you're 13. She's been groomed and trafficked by this man for a year already, and she's 12. So these kids think it's all fun and games. And it's supposed to be that way, but it's not. So we come around and we go to schools. I talk to the students and I talk to the parents. And here's the thing. I raised 3 boys. And I had several rules. Number 1, I needed to know what your password was at all times. Number 2, you never, ever be friends with somebody that you don't know physically. Number 3, you never say anything on your social media that you would not say in the middle of the grocery store aisle for anyone to overhear. Now, I live in a small town, so everybody knows everybody. And number 4, no swearing on social media. And you know what? The most unique thing happened, and kids today just don't understand this. My boys survived. They grew up and now they're fathers. And I told you I was old as dirt, right? I'm a grandparent. Anyway, we have created to help parents through this because kids are getting cell phones younger and younger and younger. They're getting smartphones, right? So we created a toolkit, and I have some of these up here for you to have. I have, my copy is bigger because, you know, I'm old and I need to see better. That one's small, so I have a bigger copy just for me. But we have several pages in here that are of interest to you. Number 1 is your child ready for a cell phone? If you're thinking about, are they old enough to have their cell phone yet? And this is good for your grandchildren too. So it's just questions to ask yourself. Are you still ordering their meals from the kids menu at McDonald's? So my kids tell me I'm not old enough to have a cell phone because I still order the kids' meals. I have grandchildren, I mentioned that. So I get the toys for my grandchildren. It's, you know, are you still listening to their inappropriate bathroom humor at the table? So I called each one of my 3 boys. At the time, they were 28, 26, and 23, and told them they weren't old enough for a cell phone because I'm still hearing their bathroom jokes. Well, they're fart jokes. Let's just be honest. That's what they are. They thought that was pretty funny, but you know, so it's just a guide. It's just a guide to ask yourself, do you think your kids are ready? Now, you've given them a cell phone. Now what? How do you protect them? So the second page of this book is tips and recommendations. It's to help you have a conversation with your kids. It's to set up boundaries, and then, you know, I'll talk a little bit more about screen time. So the boundaries are really, really important. What is it called? I've got my notes. Common Sense Media. They call it 4 internet types of screen time. You've got your passive consumption, which is watching TV, reading, and listening to music. You've got your interactive consumption, which is playing games and browsing the internet. You've got communication, which is video chatting and using social media. And then you've got your content creation, which is using your devices to make dances, digital art, or music, which is like TikTok, or and then Snapchat is another one where you can send videos. There's a lot of different ones. So we need to limit the amount of time that our youth are on their phones. Now, this is the one thing I tell parents, and the kids hate it when I do this. I don't care how old they are. If they're underage, if they're minors, they do not need to have their cell phones or their computers in their rooms at night. Have a space in your living room, dining room, somewhere in your house. All phones go there at a certain time every night, and that's where they're charged and they're ready to go the next day. They don't need to have them in their rooms at night. You might have a 16, 17-year-old at home and they're studying hard. They're really great students. and they're writing their papers and they're staying up late writing their papers and studying for a big test the next day. It's midnight and now they're tired and they just want to just relax and unwind before going to sleep, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to go on social media. And they're thinking just 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And it's amazing how much of a time waster, you know, you could start off watching a video of this cute cat and suddenly you're watching the longest high five video, you know, line in the world. You know, you've been on for an hour. It's just a huge time waster for that. But now these predators are looking for ways to gain access to our kids. And when they're tired at night after studying, that's when they go in because their boundaries are lower and they're allowing them in. So don't let them have computers or cell phones in their rooms at night. It's just not safe. When you have those times when the phones are plugged in, that's when you check the phones. Check to see how is their battery usage. If you're finding that their batteries are being used up every day and they're at 0 when they plug them in at night, why is that? You see that they've got Snapchat. You see they have, you know, some of these apps I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, TikTok, and they're hogs of you know, your resources, but you're accessing them, right? You're able to go in to see what it is they're doing on these computers or on their laptops or on their phones. Why is their battery usage so low all the time? Maybe they're running a shadow of the app. Maybe they have 2 Snapchats, one that they want you to see and one that they don't want you to see. Have you heard of the app Calculator Plus? As a parent, you're going to look at it and say, oh, they have another calculator. Maybe it's a scientific calculator or a calculator they need for school. No big deal, right? Well, Calculator Plus isn't a calculator. It's a portal to upload images on the internet anonymously. But what our kids don't understand is that everything you put on the internet stays on the internet. It's never really deleted. It's always accessible. So I have my best friend, her daughter was at UW Parkside and she was having a great time in college and she was putting it all over her Facebook page. This was back in the day when the kids wanted to be on Facebook. Now it's just old people like us, right? So she was all over Facebook with all of the things that she was up to. And I said to her mom one day, I said, you know, you might want to have a word with her because some of the things she's putting on there are really inappropriate. And she said, oh, I know, I agree. So she went to her daughter and she said, Dawn said that your Facebook page is inappropriate. So what is the first thing she did? She unfriended me, right? Sure. And she said, it's my Facebook page. It's none of your business what I put on there. Okay, 2 years later, she's graduating from college. And guess what? She has got awesome internships. She was a 4.0 student. She was, you know, high honors. She was smart and she had a business degree. And now she cannot get a job. Why is that? As employers, why is that? Because you're checking their social media. So she's sitting in an interview and her resume's there. And the man who's interviewing her said, you know, we thought you were going to be a perfect fit for us. You know, we love your resume. We love everything that you do. We were really excited to offer you this job, but I can't do it. She goes, well, why is that? He said, well, we checked your social media and we just don't think that you'd be a good fit for us. Do you know that took her 2 years to clean up her Facebook page? Do you know why? Because every time you include a friend on your post, or if you check your memories, those things come right back up to the forefront. A friend will see that and say, oh, do you remember that? That was so much fun. And now it's right back at the front of her Facebook page again. It took her 2 years to clean her page up so that she could finally get a job with her business degree. She went back to her mom and said, I wish I'd listened to you. You were right. I'm like, well, it was me who was right. And we're friends on Facebook again, which is great because I've known her since she was born, you know, so she's like another child to me. But our kids don't understand that everything they put on the internet stays on the internet. They don't understand that they are putting themselves in harm's way. So we talked a little bit about TikTok. You know what? I have this really great, I don't know. How do I do this?
The arrow keys.
Yep, it's not working. Oh, okay. You know what? We're just gonna skip the whole thing. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I hate PowerPoints anyway. Okay, there we go. So that's just a little bit about what human trafficking is. Are you ready for your cell phone? We talked about most of this stuff already. See, I have these notes. I have this PowerPoint to make things so much easier for me, and I never use them. So TikTok, we talked a little bit about TikTok. Do you know what TikTok is, everybody? It's a lot of fun. When the pandemic hit, it exploded because everybody was on TikTok. So you've got a 13-year-old girl who's on TikTok making a video of her favorite hip hop song, right? And she's having a great time. So what do you think the predators are looking at when they look at her TikTok video? What do you think they're looking for?
Location.
They can get that. That's already embedded in the video. Your IP address and your GPS are already embedded in there, but absolutely. What else are they looking for? TikTok is anonymous, so your name's not on there. So they're looking for ways to identify her. They're looking to find out what her vulnerabilities are. So what are they looking for? So she's done this video, it's in her bedroom. Is that a poster of her high school volleyball team back there? If he goes to that volleyball game, do you think he's going to find her there? What are her vulnerabilities? Oh, you know what? She has 3,000 likes on that video. So maybe she just wants to be popular. So he'll make a suggestion. You know what? The next time you do the video, you should lift your shirt up a little bit, show a little bit more of your midriff. I bet you'll get 5,000 likes. Think how popular you'll be. So she does her next video, and if she does just that, now he knows what her vulnerabilities are. It's her self-esteem. So now he can play on that some more. If two boys skateboarding down the street, he's looking, he can see the streets. They're on the signposts. He's got the GPS address, he's got the IP address. He's thinking, I wonder if I go to the coffee shop that's on that corner and wait, will they come back down that street again? They're looking on how to identify our kids online. And our kids have no idea. So I was on a radio station in Milwaukee. It was on a Saturday. And I told you I worked for a church. So I had to be at work really early on Sunday mornings. It should be against your religion to be at work early on a Sunday morning. So I usually go to bed early Saturday night. And I had just come back from Milwaukee. I was sitting down, just trying to chill, to get out of, because these talks take a lot out of you, right? It's a lot of darkness in this world. And so I was just trying to chill out. And I get a text message from someone I went to high school with saying, hey, Dawn, you're into that whole human trafficking thing, right? I said, well, it's anti-human trafficking, and there's a difference. So she said, well, I've got a problem. Can I talk to you about it? Now, I've known her daughters since they were little, and her youngest, she got a knock on the door the day before this. So this was Saturday night. She got this knock on the door Friday morning from her daughter's best friend's mom. And the mom was looking at her son's phone and saw that there was some very inappropriate text messages on her son's phone that involved this daughter. So she went to my girlfriend and said, you need to see this and you need to do something. We need to go to the police. So they went to the local police department, and the police department receptionist said, oh, yeah, the detective that deals with that is on vacation this week. So go home and come back on Monday and just pretend you didn't see anything until you come back on Monday. In the meantime, they set up an appointment for the following Wednesday with the Child Advocacy Center. And she's like, go home and pretend I didn't see this. So Saturday night comes and she's texting me because now she's just in a serious panic, not knowing what to do. On my board, I have 2 internet crime forensic investigators who were actually they were at a conference in Atlanta, but I contacted Mike and Robbie and I said, look, we've got this problem. Can you help me out? I don't know what, I don't have access to this. So me, who likes to go to bed early on a Saturday night, is up till 2 o'clock in the morning with my internet crimes investigators trying to figure out what the next step is, what's going on. And what we discovered, we were able to get them into the Child Advocacy Center first thing Monday morning. So they get there at 10 o'clock and there's 2 people there from Canada. And they're thinking, why are people from Canada here? So their 13-year-old daughter was texting with someone who she thought was 13 in Canada. And this person was flying into Milwaukee on the Wednesday afternoon and had booked a hotel within half a mile of their house. So if they had waited until Wednesday to go to the Child Advocacy Center, that person would have already been entered into the country. The two people that were there from Canada, there were also people there from Homeland Security, and they stopped that person from entering the country. So we asked her, why? Why would you have this friendship with someone who's 18? And she said, well, I didn't know she was 18. I thought she was 13, and I thought she was my friend. Are you upset that we found out about this and stopped it from happening? She said, no, I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to stop this. She just wanted to be popular. She just wanted to have more friends. And she didn't realize the danger she was putting herself into. Now she's getting ready to graduate from high school. She's doing great now because we got there ahead of time. That's what this is all about. It's all about the prevention. It's all about getting this information to our kids before it's too late. So our best defense on stopping human trafficking, especially with our youth, is by educating them, giving them this information so that they can make a difference. I go to schools, I talk to teachers, I do teacher in services, I talk to parents, I go to churches, I go everywhere. And it's great. Everybody wants to know what's going on. They want to know what they can do to help their community, what they can do to help their kids and their neighbors. But if we can get this information to our kids, they will see things that we as the adults might miss. They're going to see, oh, her grades are slipping. She's pulling away from her friends. Hey, what's all the bruises that she's got on? And where did she get that tattoo? They're going to see things that we as adults are going to miss. Why is she always on the phone? Why is she always checking in with her boyfriend after every class? Why does she have 2 cell phones? These are all key indicators that there's something going on. So that's some of the social media apps. So we do recommend, there's 2 apps that you can download to keep an eye on your kids' phones. Net Nanny is a really great one. You can get these online, just download them. A lot of them, they will mirror whatever's on your child's cell phone, and they can't download anything now without your permission. And you know what's already on their phone. So if they have Snapchat, if they have some of these other problem apps, you will also have that, and you will know what it is to look for when you're on their phones. The toolkit that I have, we have 3 pages listing some of the most dangerous apps, why they were created, and why they're a problem, how the predators have gained access to them. So, take a copy of the toolkit. We also have internet safety tips on the back. I'm running out of time. What we do have, the last 2 pages, are how to limit screen time on their cell phones for both Apple and Android. It tells you how to go about making that happen. I am one of those kinds of people that has a hard time falling asleep because my brain's always going. So I actually put screen time locks on my phone so that I knew when when it was time to go to sleep. Suddenly I'm not having that problem anymore. But it's a really great feature to have on these phones, is to be able to limit that screen time so that, even if it's, 9 o'clock, whatever, if they're working on their homework, they can't access it anyway, even if they sneak the phone into their rooms while you're asleep. So that's another great tool that we recommend. Some of the other things, I got so much to share with you, and I don't want to take too much more of your time because we are running out, but I want to give you an opportunity to ask me any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Story in the paper this morning
Yes.
of the sex trafficker having been shot and killed by the girl.
Mm-hmm.
There's a possibility that she's not going to be charged with any crime, that it's okay to kill your sex abuser.
Well, the one thing that you should know what traffickers do. Number one, if you see something, we always recommend you to say something, but take note. What is the car license plate number? What are they wearing? How are they dressed? What does the child look like? How old do you think the child is? Does your gut tell you that there might be something wrong with this situation? Is the conversation inappropriate? They will use whatever means necessary to control their victims. They will beat them. They will threaten their lives. We had one girl who came in for help and her neck had been, cut, her throat had been cut. They will do whatever it takes to control their victims because they will do whatever it takes to gain their trust. It's Maslow's hierarchy. Have you ever heard of that? The trafficker will become whatever it is the victim needs. So if they need a father figure in their life, they will become their protector. If they need a place to stay, he will provide them with a home, whatever they need. If they need a boyfriend, he will become that boyfriend. He will become whatever he needs to be to control that person. And they control them with mind games and with beatings and threatening their families. And to the point where the victims don't even know that their parents or their families are looking for them. They don't even remember who they are anymore. They get beaten down so much. So I cannot speak to that case specifically because I'm not a party to the what's going on in there. But I can tell you that if she actually got away and she had to kill him in order to do that, then her life was in danger. Yes.
So this is a hugely upsetting topic for me, being the mother of 3 young daughters. And my 15-year-old, 2 years ago, when we allowed her to get TikTok, I created a fake account and liked her page and put a boy's photo on there and showed her how easy it was to manipulate you as a 45-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
You thought I was a 16-year-old boy.
Right.
The scare tactics seem to have done the trick with her, but why isn't this curriculum in high school? Like, why isn't this curriculum in 7th grade, 8th grade?
I wish.
They teach them how to, prevent,
How to have, yeah, right.
Like, this is just, I don't understand why this isn't curriculum.
I was at a middle school last Thursday morning. They had a career day for nonprofits and I was included in that. Every child, we have 450 kids. I'm telling you, I was dumb people in for the day when I left. I talked to 450 kids that morning. They come to my table and I asked each one of them, what do you think human trafficking is? Do you know, I had some kids that told me they thought it was standing in the middle of the road and stopping traffic. I had other kids thought it meant that they were going to get kidnapped off the street. I did have some kids that understood what it was, but a lot of them got their information from Hollywood, from Big Sky. I worked with a young woman who I got a call from the jail asking if I could come and meet with someone they felt was being trafficked. They were worried about her 2 daughters being sold by her trafficker. So they wanted me to come in and talk to her because I'm not a mandated reporter as such, like a social worker or something. So I went in because I work for a church. And I asked her when she was a little girl, what did she want to be when she grew up? And she said, well, you're going to laugh. I said, okay, go ahead. By then we created a rapport. And she said, I wanted to be an exotic dancer like Will Smith's girlfriend in Independence Day. So she had they glorify what that job is and not the reality of the beatings and the debauchery that comes with that. And she said to me, she was released from jail, ended up going back to her trafficker. And you know why? Because now she has more legal bills and she has no way of paying them. She's never worked. She doesn't know anything other than being trafficked. She doesn't know how to write a check. She doesn't know how to go grocery shopping or to meal plan. She doesn't know how to do any of that because she has been completely controlled by her trafficker. Now she's gone back to him. She doesn't want to, but she doesn't know anything else. And he beat her so badly. She came back to me and she said, I knew when he broke my ribs that this might just kill me and I need to do something. Now she was back in jail by that point. So I was visiting with her again and she'd actually asked the sheriff's department to call me to come and see her. So I did. She was so excited to see me. And she said, you are the first person in my life that has ever encouraged me. And you're the first person in my life that has ever believed in me. I didn't think anybody cared. I can't tell you, I mean, that's from my heart. I got to tell you, when I left there, and I'm not a crier, but that just blew my mind. How does somebody grow up thinking that nobody cares? But that's what these traffickers are doing. They are convincing our youth that the parents don't care about them. When I was a young girl, I got mad at my parents. Anybody get mad at their parents growing up? Yeah. So what did you do? You talked to your best friend, right? The kids aren't doing that today. They're putting it on social media. And these predators have algorithms seeking out these words. I hate my parents. They don't understand me. They don't love me. They're looking for those words. And then they build that wedge in between the child and the parent that they don't understand that the boundaries the parents are setting are to protect them. They don't see, because the predator comes in and says, oh, baby, if they didn't let you have those jeans, those would look so hot on you. I'll get those jeans for you. I love you. Your parents don't care about you. Oh, they took your cell phone away? Oh, baby, that's okay. I'll get you a cell phone. Your parents don't care about you. How are you supposed to be in touch with your friends if they take your cell phone away? They will become whatever these kids need in their lives at that time. So any more questions? I keep going on. I'm sorry. Yes.
Predominantly, your examples have been about young girls. And I wouldn't want to leave with the impression that this is a risk just for girls.
It is not. It is not. In fact, I was at a conference at the Osthoff Resort in Elkhart Lake just before COVID hit. And we discovered, the numbers have always been, it's, 27% are female, 30% are boys, and 3% are non-genders, transgender, non-specific, right? That's not the case. That they have found that 70% of our boys, 70% are being approached. They're being groomed or they're being trafficked. And the boys won't, they don't want to talk about it. They feel that they're the strong ones. They're not allowed to, this can't happen to them. And so they won't talk about it. And that's why the numbers have always been so screwed up, because we just don't get that number. So they did a study with some boys who were actually on the street in New York City, and that's how they discovered how serious it was. A lot of them, it's considered survival sex, and they don't want to be labeled as being gay because they don't consider themselves gay. And that's another reason why they won't report it. But yes, it is very much boys. That's why I gave the example, 2 skateboarding boys, because boys are being groomed and they're being approached all the time. Any other, is that it? I thank you so much for letting me come. I usually talk for an hour or more. So I apologize for going on so long.
No, this is perfect.
So I've got lots of information. Oh, the one thing, we are having our very first gala event, my organization, Join the Movement. It is in Delavan, Wisconsin at Lake Lawn Resort. And our guest speaker is Teresa Flores, whose story I told you about.
Oh.
So if you are available, it's on a Friday night, April 8th, take a flyer and come be a part of this really great night. Teresa has become one of my dearest friends, and I am so, she didn't know how to say no to me. So she's like, yes, your first gala, of course I'll be there. So please come and take some of my flyers. We also have a book. We do a program for parents of children from the ages of 2 to 12. It's called Who Should I Trust? When we were growing up, it's all about stranger danger, right? 97% of our youth who are being trafficked are trafficked by somebody they know. Only 3% are kidnapped by a stranger. And usually that kind of thing is more of a personal, they're not going to kidnap them to sell them to somebody else. They're kidnapping them because they want them for themselves. So this book is an interactive guide for the parents and the children, where they're part of the conversation, and it teaches them who in their world they can trust. And what we suggest is, we usually sell this for $10, but we don't sell it. We ask for donation. And if you don't have it, then take the book, because we'll give it away to you. But you've got a 2-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 12-year-old, you're sitting there watching Entertainment Tonight during dinner every night, And the 2-year-old was looking at the TV saying, hey, that's J-Lo. I know who that is. That's a face I know. And they think that that's somebody that they can trust, and they don't understand who it is in their lives they really trust. And a 2-year-old has different people than the 6-year-old in their lives, right? You might be in daycare, or you're home with mom and you're at the library. The 6-year-old might be in sports. So they have different people in their lives. And so we just tell people, take one book, make photocopies, and do one book for each child. So that's another thing that we have. And it is faith-based, just so you know. I've also got our flyers up here and then the social media toolkit. So please help yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dawn. We will make a donation in your honor to the End Polio Now Fund of Rotary International, which we do on behalf of all of our speakers. So thank you again for speaking to us. And next week will be.
Next week at Rotary, Steve Davis, soon to be retired Madison Fire Chief, will be here to discuss his career leading the Madison Fire Department.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, we will see you guys all next week. Thanks, Dawn.